everybody, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how to do a very beginner-friendly Aurora Borealis. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He's going to help me bring this lesson to you by making sure that the tools that I'm using, the techniques that I'm demonstrating, you can see them with one of our robotic cameras. Like he'll zoom in when you need to see the action and ask me questions and, you know, kind of just make sure that you know what's going on in the lesson. These are explained step by step. So we break each process down. We break each technique down. We shout out resources because we have extra videos that may help you with one particular technique or another. We have a lot of stuff here. This is a fun fan brush project if you haven't done one, and it's a great first time painting project if you haven't had one of those in a while. Kind of an easy, fun landscape that you can do. We're going to be using fan brushes. We're going to be using mop blenders. We're going to be splattering. We're going to be doing the easy fan brush trick. Pretty much all the good stuff. It's going to be time stamped. Definitely check the description for materials, brush lists, everything that you need to know. Also, we're doing a giveaway. We're going to give one lucky viewer a month-long membership to our patronage. If you're on YouTube, you have to enter in the comment section, not in the live chat during the premiere. Don't enter there, enter in the comment section. If you're on Facebook, you can just enter whenever you want because it works all the time there. It just only works on the comment section for YouTube. So if you'd like to see what the patronage is about, that'd be a good way to find out about that. Other than that, just get your brushes, get ready to make a mess with splattering, and let's come in and paint an Aurora Borealis. Let's go. So to begin, I'm using a 9x12 canvas. The complete material list will appear on here on your screen, but I'd like to go over the placement on the palette. Here I have phthalo green, cad yellow medium, phthalo blue, dioxazine purple, quinacridone magenta, Mars black, and titanium white.
Can I say I'm impressed by those graphics?
I imagine you would be. You worked very hard for them. This generally goes like, we need the materials listed early. How do we do that? I don't know. Put them on the blank canvas. Then John spends an hour of work putting them on the blank canvas. So isn't that fun for you? And me. And really everybody. But this is actually going to be a pretty fun, beginner-friendly painting just overall.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Are you? Me too. The beginning of this is actually pretty chill. We're going to be just kind of doing a nice little sky ombre going up. I'm going to take this is the 1414 silver brush, number 1 inch bulletin cutter. It looks like a house brush because it's like a house brush, but it's a little different and it has fine filaments in it. These hog bristles are actually rather nice, but if what you have is a house brush, that is okay. Shall we put up a step, sir?
Oh, we put the step already.
We put the step already?
It's all the magic between the scene steps now.
That's right. The magic between the scene steps now. That's pretty awesome. All right. Well, then I will just get some magic on my brush right now.
All right.
I'm going to take a little bit of this blue and some white together. And I'm going to come here kind of low, coming up. And I don't mind if it goes all the way to the bottom because even though I'm going to have trees like sort of coming up from that, a little paint coverage doesn't hurt anybody. And then as I go up, though, I'm going to add more blue, making the sky darker. Right, we're making the sky a little bit darker.
It is a fade or a ombre.
An ombre. There you go, a little bit darker. Woo! A little bit darker now.
So it used to be they'd be
darker
like,
now.
I see your roots. And you're like, no, it's an ombre.
And then I'm going to get some purple up here because it's real dark up top. Now, I'm going to do a cool thing before this paint is dry because this works if the paint is wet. It does not work as good if the paint is not wet. I'm going to get a number 4 fan bristle brush that's kind of like a hog brush. I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet, and then I'm going to load up some white paint, and I'm going to come here, and I'm going to do a technique that some of you might know where we just come back and forth with this white, kind of making interesting little pattern. Right? Paint is a little bit wet as it goes. All right, there we go. Ooh, fingers crossed this will work. Then I'm going to take a dry mop. This is an oval mop. And I'm going to begin to blend this in to the wet paint around it. Hopefully this is going to give us kind of a interesting little galaxy. Sometimes I have to wipe off the extra paint onto my paper towel. Little effect.
Definitely interesting. That sky brushing technique.
Yeah, and I'm wiping off as I go so that I'm not carrying a huge amount of paint through here. If I want to, I can get a whole nother dry brush and you can keep blending this. There's this really big one that I have. Look at this big one from Artist Loft.
Oh, wow.
It's a big boy.
And they all work like equally?
Yeah, they all do this. This is even more fun because it
has the size.
It has that size, so it's very blendy.
Girth.
It's a brush with some girth. Look at that.
I like a girthy brush.
Sometimes it's hard to get the Milky Way kind of looking effect. And this is a really awesome way to try to get that. I can come back through and, try to put some more white a couple of places.
Now, if you only have the dainty brushes,
you got to work fast.
You got to work fast.
You got to work fast.
Maybe take a trip to the hardware store.
You can actually take a trip to the hardware store. Because
I say the Purdy brushes they make a whole bunch that they're not as soft and fluffy as these, but
sometimes even an on sale makeup brush can do.
Like for $8 though, right?
A lot. You're just trying to get a soft little blend here. And again, acrylic paint blends beautifully when it's wet. It does not blend as well when it's dry. I can come back over and kind of blend that in there. So now we have this really fun implied Milky Way coming up. Isn't that nice?
That is.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a journey. You don't have to have the exact brushes that I have. He's right. You could use a big house brush. And the issue with this one is it gets so wet when you get it wet. It's like having a drowned cat in your studio. It's quite an event for everybody. I might come in with my original mop brush. The reason I'm moving along pretty quickly is when things are so wet, you can get some nice blending.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to take advantage of that time before the time is gone. I'm using little curling motions. And I think I have even some weird like here's a brush from the hardware store. Test it. You can kind of see what John means.
Wow.
So it does work. You can get it. I'm having to use the corner of the brush. It's not a makeup brush. It's not a mop, but it will blend.
That's an Ace Hardware store brush.
Yeah. Yeah. Also very similar. See? So I'm not saying they're an equivalent brush. They're not an equivalent brush. I'm just saying that that there are brushes that you can do these techniques with at the hardware store if that is your brush resource. Now for the next part, I definitely want this to be dry. So I'm going to dry this with my hair dryer. So for the next step, I'm going to want to do a splatter star technique. I'm going to show you my favorite way of doing it. I have a video, though, about all the different ways you can splatter and how to troubleshoot splattering. So if you're having any trouble, I do recommend watching that. I'm going to put out a product called Golden Fluid Acrylic Titanium White. This is a lot like that craft paint you buy in a bottle, except it's completely different in that this has tons and tons and tons of white pigment in it and is a fine art material. But for the purposes of splatter, either is fine. You just want something that is kind of pre-thinned for you, right, so that you can take this is a actual art brush. This is the Art Sherpa Galaxy splattering brush, but you could use a really stiff toothbrush. You would not ever want to use my art splattering brush, though, on your teeth.
No.
It would take your gums right off. Now I load it all up on the edges here, and I'm going to come here and splatter some very nice galaxy effects.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, get that night sky twinkling with the stars, right?
Really does.
It does, doesn't it? And it's got a little bit of Milky Way, kind of implied. But here's how we're going to really get the Milky Way out there. I'm going to take my dotting tool. This is a lot like a nail dotting tool. You could use the tip of a pencil. You could use a toothpick. You could use the back of your brush. And I'm going to make sure that along my little Milky Way, I have a little kind of cluster of focus stars. This is an artistic interpretation of the Milky Way. I'm super surprised that John has not weighed in on the
Well, you know.
actual
There's some stars.
right coming up on the Milky Way. I just like to sort of frame that so you can kind of see it.
It invokes the emotion of the sky.
I like to go and let the stars be bigger and smaller. That's one of the nice things about the dotting tools. It gives you a variety of star sizes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you just use any tool that you can make a little dot with. It's completely fine. And you can see that when you kind of focus the dots, you save a bunch of time and create some random kind of star features. But when you come back with your dotting tool, you can create kind of celestial bodies that are a little more focused. See?
Dot focus.
Little dot focus. And so now there's this sort of implied pattern. Next part, we do have to dry this super thoroughly. So you can use your hairdryer. You can wait till it's completely dry, but you want these dots to be completely dry. And they're fluid paint, so it'll take a little bit longer. Okay. When we come back, it'll be the next step. Make sure your painting is dry before we go on. Now we get to kind of put some frosting in our sky, some celestial bodies, and some northern light magic. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an Art Sherpa pouncer. This is just a little round pouncing tool. Now I like mine because it has a hole in the back so you can get the sponge out easy, and they're easy to wash and care for. It's got a little grip, but any pouncer that you have is great. If you don't have a pouncer, just paint a circle. I'm going to spin into my blue paint. I might even get a little black paint in there right now just to make it easier later on. And I'm going to come over here and let's put the moon over here. Now we have a nice little moon started over there. That's always great. Might get a little more white on there. Twirl that in. I'll let that dry for a second. And then I'll neaten it up with a brush later. Or you can even do it now. If you take like a small brush, this is a number 2 bright. You just want a small little brush, whatever gives you a little control. You can do a round. You can take this moment and kind of tidy it up.
Right.
I'm going to spin around. Oh my goodness. You know what I just did there, John?
No.
I made my moon bigger.
Oh.
I undermined all the work I did by using my pouncer by going outside of my circle.
It's okay. You can just have an Obi-Wan moment.
I'm not going to have an Obi-Wan moment. I'm
no
going to come
moon.
back with a damp brush and just kind of clean it up. Now I'm going to take this little brush and I'm going to, rough up the surface of my moon. It's okay to use a little gray. You're just kind of implying a little bit of a celestial body there. We'll put a pop of white on later so it's real bright, but, it's important to give it some craters. By giving it some craters, some fun. So there you go. We'll come back with a little white in a minute to make it brighter. Now we're going to put the aurora in, and the aurora is a lot of fun. I'm going to grab this very small fan brush. This is a number 2 also, but it's like just a small one. I like hog or something stiff. Fan brushes work better if they are a little more robust. And I'm going to put a little bit of let's start with a little bit of a pink one. So I'm going to take my fluid white, or my white and my pink, and I'm going to sweep up. Right? That's fun. Mm-hmm. Looks like a nice little sweep. And before everything is dry, I'm going to get a little more. And I'm going to flick up with my fan brush. Isn't that fun?
Oh, yeah.
Come back. And John's seen this magic more than once. He's still pretty nice about seeing it repeatedly. I'm going to get a little yellow in there. Sometimes
I
it's
like
nice
watching
to
it.
change the color of the brows. Now, when you come up to the turn, you're going to want to do a little bit of an upward stroke to give yourself some aurora. And then you're going to come on the turn on the edge of your brush. The trick is I'm trying to go through before my paint dries because I don't want a white stripe.
Right.
I'm trying to just give myself a
blended
path to go on. There we go. You just go up a little bit. I'll come back with more pink or more yellow as I want to. Get a little bit of white in there. Maybe a little bit, like let it kind of peter out. And I can come back down a little. Just don't want the stripes. You just want to get rid of the stripe. Kind of gives you a little bit of that drama.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want some drama? Now I rinsed out and I'm getting a little more paint. I'll take my yellow and my white together. Whenever I'm trying to like create a bigger amount of drama. Putting a little more pizzazz there. Always a good idea. Just one little spot there that I want to kind of blend in. All right? And now we have that nice little, really shocking kind of like fun aurora, isn't it? It's like a pretty colorful northern lights. We're all familiar with the green. John probably knows what it takes to get the pretty colors.
I think it's just, I actually do not know this. I thought it was radiation and the strength of the radiation that was coming in, but
it might not be.
It might not be.
All right, for the next one, I'm going to come in with a little bit of yellow to start and some white. I might execute it a little differently because I don't want to fight the stripe again. And I'm going to give myself, I tapped up and down, if you can see, like a little bit of just tapping up and down with the fan brush and then brushing up. And that's a little bit more delicate. I'll get some green going in there. When you do the phthalo green with the cad yellow, you get that cool, like, little interesting effect. A little bit longer, maybe right there. There we go. So that looks pretty good. Come in with some yellow and white. I'm going to just bring this up here. It'll peek in and out from the trees, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So up and down in those little vertical lines, creating those little lights that are twinkling and sparkling. That's a fun effect.
Yeah, it is.
It's a fun effect. I still am bothered by that one aurora. But look, when I come back, you can get some fun pink effect. So how awesome is that?
Yeah.
Sometimes if something is bugging you, but you got to go back in and adjust it, you end up with something you like even better. And I think that that's important to be ready and open to those moments. So this is a nice little random set of celestial things. And if I've allowed this to dry enough, I should be able to come back with my small bright, any small bright or round, it wouldn't really matter. Grab a little bit of white paint and just make sure that this side and some of it's brighter, you know? There we go. I'm liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a step. We can come back. We're going to do some fast, happy trees. So for the next part, we're going to put in a little tree line. And I'm going to do myself a favor by giving myself a random but fairly solid little black down here. And I will go into, I'll use one of the brushes I use to blend, to work it out. Because it'll give me, if you'll notice that these are kind of rough.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's wet and I've got the blending in it. I can get a little bit of water going on it to thin it. But I want to be able to come here and you can use any brush you have. But I just want to make sure.
Wow, just get some grasses in there.
Well, it's not grasses. It's going to be the basis for the trees.
Oh.
But the way I had that stripe, I don't want that here. I don't want to have to fight that. So I'm giving myself a more random place to start from. Same rule though, you definitely want to rinse these things out when you're done and make sure you're not leaving any paint on them. Now, we're going to take a fan brush and we're going to make trees. You may be familiar with the method and it's actually a lot of fun. I'm going to grab a number 4 fan brush.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to load up with an ample amount of black on my brush. I'm getting a little bit of water on my brush, not so much to soak it, but enough to thin the paint so I can load. And notice that I'm flipping the brush so that there's a lot of paint in it. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to make a little upward tree. And then on the corner, I'm going to come on the corner and I come down. I'm not making a step ladder or anything like that. And I go right over where I put my grass in.
Okay.
Right? And then maybe this one is, some of them are just kind of upward. Right? Then maybe there's a more large tree, bigger fellow, comes up. On the corner of this brush, I have a whole video on how to get a better result from your fan brushes to troubleshoot all those problems you might be having. Because once you work these guys out, they do so many. They do waterfalls, they do sea foam, they do grass. They do a lot of fun things. So they're worth having together when you're trying to have one together. But we're just trying to make a tree line, like a northern exposure tree line. Maybe a daughter tree right here. Trees have daughters. Smaller at the top, and then you press down and get more excited as you go.
Yep.
If you want the tree branches to be upward a little bit, the handle needs to have a slight angle upward. If you want them to bow down, you want your angle to go down. And I would go back over this just to make this nice and rough and irregular. Look at this. We're just kind of whipping through, aren't we?
Yeah. These are fairly easy trees.
Yeah, little tops of trees, this little thing going on. Some of them kind of, they go up out of the background and, specifically become their own little point of tree. What you want? Your own little point of tree. You pick little individuals to piece out like this, and then you fill in. But you might give a treetop there a little bit of a familiar thing and then finish out that way.
Yeah.
See, that's how you get a nice tree line. Things are uneven. You know, they're unpredictable. The tree lines go up and down, right? You don't want just like the same tree line again and again and again. Now, a fun thing, this is maybe not completely true, but a fun thing that we can do to make this a more interesting painting.
Yeah.
When we finish it is we can take a little brush. I'm going to take a number 12 round blender by Princeton, and I'm going to grab just a little bit of my white and blue very lightly on this. And I'm going to add a little circular moon glow. Isn't that a fun, nice thing that we can do? Adds a little personality. Sometimes I get a little color in it. You don't want to get too much or it'll just make little rings around. And the trick to this is to have very light pressure. It's a little Van Gogh-like, but why not, right?
Yeah, I like that.
This gives a little...
The moon effect.
There's a moon effect. I think there actually is an effect on a moon that you can see that's a little like this.
You can get moon bows.
Moon bows, yeah. How do you get a moon bow, John?
So it's very similar to how you get a rainbow, only if the moon is up and full and there's a light fog, and then you can see, sometimes you can get a double moon bow. But it's just a ring that forms around the moon at the same angle that a rainbow forms.
Look at that. It's just a little simple galaxy scene.
With an unexpected sneeze.
All right. So really, if you're just trying to do a little light galaxy sky and you're just trying to get something fun for your first painting, this is a great way to go. Mm-hmm. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't pick on yourself, right? You're learning how to do things. These are all fun new techniques. And all these techniques apply to everything else in painting. So at least you know they'll like carry with you as you go. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoyed seeing some fun things you could do with a fan brush. I'm going to take my signature brush. I'm going to get this brush just a little bit wet, and I think I'll come down here. Oh, I'll use my fluid white and get kind of it's a color that we have in the painting, but it will show up against the black, and I'm going to sign right here. Just you can have a fun painting.
Mm-hmm. This was fun.
Just something light and something fun. It doesn't always have to be super deep and serious. There you go. Just put your name on it and be happy with the day. Did you like that, John?
I did.
Thank you so much for your time. And also thank you for not mentioning that my moonscape was not accurate.
It's very moony.
It's very moonish. John is very much into stars and celestial objects, so sometimes my moonscape is not factually accurate. Factually.
It's okay.
Don't forget to enter for the giveaway. Leave your name. Not your name. Your name comes with it. Leave the hashtag #TheArtSherpa and a comment.
There we go.
Leave the hashtag #TheArtSherpa and a comment at the end of the show in the comments down below. And you can check the rules. Those are pinned there in the comments on how to enter. This is not affiliated with Facebook or YouTube in any way. And one lucky winner may get a month of free patronage where you get to do other weird projects just like this. John, thank you so much for your time today.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed your painting. Definitely share with me on Facebook. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.